Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to our special night. My name is Garrett, and I'm a sophomore who attends the Rock Underground. One of my favorite things about the Rock is that I made a friend there, Avery, who is a very cool person. You'll hear more about them later. Speaking of cool people, we'd like to give a quick shout out to Patricia and Brad Martin, and Catherine and Duncan Stewart, this year's excellent sponsors. Thank you for your support. Next, we'd like to introduce you to our honorary chairs. They are owners of the Savant Group and believe in giving back to the community and making a positive impact. Please help me welcome Rebecca and Gordon Cox.
Thank you, Garrett. That was really well done. Good evening, everyone. So this is not the way that we intended to start our evening tonight. However, recently we were reminded of how fleeting life can be and how much we should treasure our relationships. Diane Posture Slattery, CEO of My Michigan Health, and her husband, Don Slattery, are two very special people, and we mourn their untimely passing. They were advocates and strong supporters of our community and the Rock. And in fact, they stood in our shoes just a few short years ago as honorary chair of this event. Although this is a difficult time, I know that they would want this important evening to be successful. And so we'd like to take a moment of reflective silence in their honor. And now, because life deals us with very unpredictable sad times and happy times, we would like to focus the rest of our evening, the rest of this precious time together, with celebrating the good things in life, the accomplishments and the success of the young people in our community.
Thank you once again for joining us tonight. I am Gordon Cox, and it is such a pleasure to welcome you once again to the 22nd Annual Rock Fundraising Event. We have an amazing night for you ahead of you tonight, and isn't it wonderful that we're able to meet in person, finally? Yay! Well, keeping up with the times, though, I understand we also have a virtual element at play here with a Facebook live stream, so be sure to wave hi to the cameras. We want to give a very big thanks to all the good folks, young and young at heart, that spent tireless hours organizing and planning this incredible event tonight. We see you. Rebecca and I are pleased to be honorary chairs this year. We've been involved with Bev and The Rock dating back to 2009 or so. Rebecca has been intimately involved for the good chunk of those years as a facilitator in the schools. I've mainly been in a supporting role, but I did try my hand at facilitating about 10 years ago or so, and both a summer youth group where Rebecca and I tag teamed, and also at Meridian High School. It was tough for me as a facilitator, I must say. I certainly have a great deal of respect for those that are doing this on a regular basis, that's for sure. and for all those teachers in our schools working hard to make a difference every day. What I learned from facilitating is that connecting with these kids, regardless of whether the bond was strong or not, was incredible and was proven to be a life rewarding as being life rewarding as a facilitator and life affirming for the youth. Every day, Rebecca and I would walk away hoping that we provided the kids with some tidbit of information that would stay with them and help them on their journey. That's what the Rock is all about, giving the kids a chance to reach their full potential. We share this mission with the Rock and hope you do as well. Your presence here tonight is an affirmation of that. So please enjoy the evening, be generous and kind, and we'll be back a little bit later. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca and Gordon. My name is Natalie, and I'm a junior who attends at the Rock Underground. I like to use that time to get my homework done.
My name's Izzy and I'm in 7th grade at Meridian. I really like to play games at the program and have enjoyed making new friends. Rock programs wouldn't be possible without the tireless effort of many amazing people. We are honored to have both board of directors as well as community advisory board who help guide and support what we do. Will these folks please stand?
In addition to our board, we also have volunteers who assist our staff to ensure that the Rock is providing high-quality programs. Will our volunteers, including tonight's table captains, please stand and be recognized?
Finally, would Rock staff please stand and be recognized for all that you do to support our community's youth?
On behalf of the students here tonight and all participants, thank you to our sponsors and everyone here for being part of what makes the Rock great.
Next, we'll be sharing a video about our 2022 Friend of the Rock awardee.
You know, we were really honored this year to choose Barb Smith and the Suicide Resource and Response Network as Friend of the Rock. And our relationship with Barb and that organization goes back many years. And it really goes to the core of what we want to do. We want to help young people thrive, but we understand there are great times of struggle in young people's lives. Barb Smith's organization has done amazing work around suicide intervention, prevention, and education. We work with them as we have 2 Safe Talk trainers in our organization. Most of our staff are trained in Safe Talk. Every one of our sites has at least one person, their site coordinator, that is trained as a Safe Talk person who can intervene when something happens and a young person's having suicidal thoughts. What I love about Barb's organization is as much as they are in the moment when suicide becomes a real issue, they focus a lot on prevention. And that's the world that we live in. I joke with Barb a lot, we're trying to put her out of business. We want it to be, we want to help young people to the point where they're not having suicidal ideation, they're not thinking about suicide, they're not potentially acting on suicide. And then as adults, they're not doing that either. But to work with Barb in an organization that is so laser focused on changing policy and affecting the lives of so many people around suicide prevention, they've saved thousands of lives. And a lot of them have been lives of young people. And we're just so grateful to work with an organization that has that kind of integrity and priority. And we get to do fun initiatives together.
I just want to say that it's really been an honor to work with the Rock and Discover You over the past 10 years, and just building that relationship and encouraging your staff to take our trainings and also be certified trainers. So again, it's all of us speaking the same language and all of us coming together. But it's been an honor to work together and to know that we all have the same goals in mind, and that's to really care for our kids. So thank you for bringing me here today and for honoring me with the award that's coming up.
Barb, will you please stand up? I don't know where you are. There she is. Can you please join me in celebrating her and her network? Before we move on, can everybody hear me? I'm just worried that the volume's too low. Yeah? All right, very good. We sit in this room today and we forget what it was like to be 16 years old. We present ourselves as confident business people, successful entrepreneurs, family men and women, dressed in suits and ties and cocktail dresses. We sometimes lose sight of the fact that we too were once just beginning to find our identity and our place in the world around us. We are here today celebrating an organization that helps pave the way for the youth that will one day sit in your seats. 20 years from now, those young adults too will have forgotten how everything started. That at one time, they not only had hopes and dreams and ambitions, but also insecurities and doubts and questions. On the first day that I wandered into the Rock Underground and had the privilege of meeting some of the amazing kids that you see today, I was introduced to Avery Bennett. Avery was working on a computer, but when asked, "What do you love to do?" replied with, "I'll show you." And Avery pulled out like this amazing sketchbook full of incredible drawings. I want to be good enough to not be in beginner art. Avery, an 11th grader at Dow High School, is our Student of the Year. Avery has aspirations to be an art therapist after studying at Delta and then SVSU. When asked why they thought they were nominated for the award, Avery stated, "I want to help people be the best they can be, and to truly be there for the kids at the Rock." Described by friends as outgoing, energetic, and friendly, Avery is known for looking out for the new kids and making sure everyone is included and feels welcome. Jill, the manager of our Grounded program, stated, "Avery keeps a positive attitude and deals with challenges and adversity with a lot of grace." Avery is known for taking initiative and setting a good example for the younger participants, leads STEM activities, and is quick to help out at our underground site. The Rock believes in the potential of our youth, and we in these seats are the connections that will open the doors for them. Life is simply a blank canvas. Avery will undoubtedly move beyond beginner art. Today, Avery will forget about any doubts or questions about whether their art is good enough. Today, we celebrate how incredible this young person really is. Please join me in congratulating Avery Bennett, our 2022 Student of the Year. These lights are really blinding. I apologize.
Hi, my name is Chase and I'm an 8th grader at Northeast. I love how friendly the Rock is. Rock staff are during school. Rock staff are also great at supporting our Discover U partners schools and agencies. Let's learn more about Discover U now.
I love Discover You. I just appreciate the fact that they're there to teach the kids like life skills, some resilience, leadership, all those things that we're going to need in the future. They're going to need for the future, right? Because they are our future. And I think with the times and the challenges they have, that they really are going to need more than just family, but they will need the whole community and especially their peers. So I think the Discover You is about not only discovering themselves, but discovering where they fit in this world.
What I really liked about the training was it offered example behavior definitions, flow charts, or other examples that we can utilize to train teachers in this model so that they can use strength-based conversations and really have intentional reasoning for it and develop a common language as a school.
Discover You is a way to help young people be their absolute best selves. When I think about Discover You and why it exists, it really does exist to train adults to help young people be the best they can be. So Discover You, it is a program, but it's really more a way of being. It's less what you do and more how you do it.
Especially learning the mindfulness activities, that has helped me be able to listen to my teachers better and be able to get more out of our lesson than I think I could have otherwise. Things can be definitely really scary as transitioning into high school. It is really difficult to be able to make connections and feel like you have a purpose or spot in high school when there's all these older kids around that you've never really talked to. I think this is really great for that because it can help you immensely with that sort of stuff.
So people who continue to use Discover You year after year are really some of the first testimonies that we have of how effective it is. But then we ask, what are these people seeing? Well, from the adults that are involved with the students around Discover You, we hear 75% plus saying they see improved peer-to-peer interactions. They see reduced discipline issues. They see a better teamwork inside their programs. Usually about half even see improved academic outcomes that they can attest to because they brought Discover You into their classrooms and into their environment.
Man, those kids are brilliant. It is so enjoyable to bring thoughts around empathy and gratitude and critical thinking and listen to the students share their perspectives and their ideas back with me. I have so many moments of coaching in the classroom where I just kind of like sit back and let the magic happen as the students connect and interact with one another. And I learn so much.
So today we did a communication topic. It was a fun drawing idea. We went back to back with a partner. We had to draw out what we heard them say. It showed me that communication is important and you gotta make sure you get those details. With Discover You, it's teaching people, helping them learn different ways to express your feelings or express how to communicate with people.
The Discover You program I would recommend for any organization, whether it's educational or not. I'd recommend it for any person. I see parents working with their kids in youth basketball or in any youth sport that we may be hosting here at the high school, and you'll hear how they talk to their kids. And there's times where I'm like, oh, they could use some Discover You training, and that would help their children reach their potentials.
I've built a lot of connections, or I've felt more connected to my peers and my teachers because of I know what they're going through, and I can sort of reflect on that, and I can I can think of what they're going through before I say or do something.
We've partnered with Discover You to equip our staff with the necessary training to understand what does developing trust, respect, and responsibility look like in day-to-day interactions with youth. So through our partnership with Discover You, we're not only providing the students a foundation with that training and that framework, so we're explicitly teaching these skills to every child, but we're also congruently working with the staff so they are able to see, okay, although they might have learned about SMART goal setting and Discover You this week, how can you apply that in your classroom every day?
That's, I think, my greatest hope for the work that we do with Discover You is that we're helping kids know how valuable and important they are, regardless of the mistakes that they're making, regardless of the challenges in their lives that they probably have absolutely no control over. And that then, because we're valuing them, we can have that opportunity to teach them things that are going to help them move past those challenges, help them overcome those barriers, so that then they can thrive and be successful on their own terms, in their own definition.
I am Brandon Coleman, our Discover You Regional Manager. So I spend the majority of my days going into different schools and facilitating the programs that you just learned about and heard about into various schools in Bay, Saginaw, and Midland counties. Throughout my time doing this, I have met some truly wonderful and amazing students, heard some really powerful stories, and get to see all this firsthand and up close and personal, which I am very lucky to do so. One of those students is here tonight to speak about his experiences with Discover You and how that has positively impacted his life since we came into his class last semester. So Michael is a junior at Standish Sterling Central, as well as at the Bear Airnet Career Center. And he is here to speak about his experience with Discover You. So please welcome Michael to the stage.
Hello, my name is Michael Wutzke. I'm a student at Standish Sterling Central High School, and I also attend the Bay Area ISD Career Center, where I partake in the Forensic Science program. When I was first introduced to the Rock, I honestly had no idea how much it would impact me. Well, not only me, but my friends as well. This program, I felt, really brought my classmates and I together. We were friends before, but it was in part of the Rock that we ultimately grew closer. This program allows us to get more in depth with topics you normally wouldn't get to in a classic school setting, such as addiction, mental health, the impact you have on others, or the way you speak, act, etc. Most schools you will briefly discuss mental health and addiction, but it's not as immersive and interactive as the Rock. You're able to speak and let out your thoughts on these specific topics in class, and these topics led us to many deep conversations. Conversations that will leave an impact not only on my life, but my friends as well forever. I remember a day in particular when all we did was talk. And all we talked about was our different points of view on how drugs affected our lives personally, whether it was a family member, our friend, or ourselves. I point out this day specifically because I believe that what my parents put me through as a kid with their addiction was not common. I felt as if I was an anomaly to the world and my friends, but when everyone in the class started sharing their stories, I realized I was not alone. I don't believe I would ever realize if it wasn't for the Rock. Now I know I keep saying the Rock over and over, but my experience wouldn't have been the same if it wasn't for our Rock mentor, Brandon. It's because of him and people like him that really make the Rock so much fun. Every Wednesday, we'd be extremely happy mood because we knew that Brendan was going to be there. And if he wasn't, well, we weren't so much excited for the day. Overall, I'm just very appreciative for this program, for Brandon, for this opportunity. And the moments we had in class will stick with me forever. Thank you.
Hi. Sorry. Hi. I'm Gabe, and I'm a 7th grader at Jefferson. The after-school program is a great place where you can get help with homework and build on what you've learned in school, with activities that address math, science, English, art, athletics, music, and more. You can also connect with others. I've met other kids like Abel, Kennedy, and Bella through mutual friends at school. Next, we're going to hear from more after-school students on the connections they've made.
One of the best things about my job is that I get to see connections being made and fostered every day, especially at our new location at Meridian Junior High. I think it's important for people to know, to understand that connections are fostered in places that you wouldn't even imagine them to come out of. I know of 2 students that actually go to the underground here, 2 completely different people. Entirely different people, but when they come together, it is just a ball of fun. They come up with these crazy activities for us to do, these really fun games, and you would never have imagined that this little kid and this big kid are gonna be the best of friends, but that's what happens at the Rock, and I love it.
Well, we wouldn't have met if it wasn't for the Rock.
Yeah.
And we can't really meet outside of it.
Yeah.
You're usually pretty busy.
Not a lot.
I'm in Saginaw.
And the Rock is really one of the only places we can actually talk together and see each other.
I mean, we have the internet, but that's not the same.
Yeah.
And I really like the physical.
Yeah, and at the Rock, we have other people there too, like Ghost and Garrett and Katrina.
Yes. All the fun people.
The other ones. Angie.
Yeah.
And Lupe. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So tell me about the 2 of you and your friendship. Did you meet at the Rock, or what's the story?
We met at a summer camp, and now we get to see each other at the Rock all the time. And so...
Well, we met at this first summer camp, and then we weren't that close, and then we went to this other summer camp, and then we got closer, and then we met each other at school still. So then we just had a bond ever since.
I think I met you from the Rock.
You did?
Yeah.
Man, it was a fateful day at the Rock, and I was eating food, and he might have been eating food, and a friend introduced us.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that was in 7th grade.
I mean, 7th grade for you, 8th grade for me?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Usually this gives us a good time to hang out while we're here too and stuff.
Yeah, because we don't really usually see each other at school. We have different classes, and she's a grade ahead of me, and we don't have the same lunch, so this is the time that I get to hang out with Natalie.
The Rock has sort of impacted my life a lot. I made several friends there that I would not be friends with without the Rock. And the Rock is a time where I can bond with them and help my friendship, and the staff members also help with that a lot. Especially Katrina. Not to pick favorites, but she's my favorite.
Connection for a young person with an adult that's not family is so valuable when it comes to their self-worth and who they are. And it actually increases their courage and their bravery in dealing with people of all generations in all different circumstances. I can see as a youth learns to just ask questions of other staff members. They understand that somebody who's older is there for a valuable reason for themselves, and they can reach out and actually take the initiative to ask for help, which is something all of us struggle with, is asking for that help. And they learn that by building those connections with somebody at the Rock.
Hi, my name is Abel. I'm a 6th grader at Jefferson. This is my first year at Rock programs, and I love playing card games, speed, and magic. I have the honor of introducing a person whose vision drives much of the magic that takes place at the Rock. Please join me in welcoming President and CEO Bev Wenzel.
Aren't the kids the best part? So I always, every year, I think I'm not going to do this. And those of you who've been to our dinners before, every year I kind of do this. And standing up here and looking at all of you out in the audience, it's so humbling to know each and every one of you took time out of your busy days and out of your busy lives to come here and support the kids that are in our community. This group that we have here tonight is a wonderful but small representation of the number of lives that are just impacted every day. And so I do seriously extend an invitation. If you want to see what you look like up here, it's really cool. But it's neat. And you know, the energy in the room, my gosh, thank you for coming back together. It's been a long time. And we, a lot of what we're talking about tonight, connections in our mantra, because it is about connection. And, you know, we are people that are intended to be together and to do life together. And so I'm very grateful to each of you for coming out and being willing to do life with us tonight. So we're always tasked with, how do we make this about that one kid when, you know, the Discover You program served over 25,000 students in our region, and I can't even figure out that number, right? I mean, that to me is just such a big number. And our after-school program, thousands and thousands and thousands of kids. And the number of kids have grown up and worked with us and become our staff and moved on. We have 2 actually with us tonight who were kids in our program who are now working with your kids today. And I think that's just a huge testimony to the experience that they had, and then the depth of the experience that they can bring to our young folks. So I think about the young man, right? And he's going through, he's going to a party reluctantly, right? All week long, the kids at school have been talking about this party, but what he's heard about it is that there intends to be enough ecstasy at this party so all the kids can participate. And this young man's just not certain he wants to be a part of this. And so as he's going through this party, he's a few hours in and he realizes that, you know what, this isn't just a rumor, this is happening. And so he sneaks aside, he goes away from his friends, and he makes a phone call. And he says, Mom, can you pick me up at the store on the corner in 10 minutes? He said, I don't want to be here anymore, and I don't want my friends to see me leave with you. That takes courage. And then I think about 3 middle school girls in a cafeteria. Most of us can remember being there, some on either side of this coin. And they walk past this young lady who's sitting by herself. And the leader of the group just starts hurling at her really these horrible comments that she does on a pretty regular basis. They're just cruel, they're mean, they're not necessary. And we know what that feels like, right? One young lady that's in that group of 3 looks at the leader and says, you know, you are just not cool, and I don't want to hang out with you anymore. Right? She turns around and goes back to the table with the young lady who's sitting by herself and joins her. Now, neither of them are alone. And I'll tell you what, that takes a lot of confidence to do that. So then I picture a group of young people, right? It's all about the kids, and they're gathering together like they do on a regular basis and have for years, right? But what they're not sharing with each other is how each one of them in their own way feels pretty vulnerable and pretty alone. Like they're there, they know these people, but they still feel like no one knows their story. We just heard that from our friend, right? And it's sad because we don't realize this is going on. We're all very good at showing up in the way that we want people to think that we are and the way we're feeling. But in this particular day, you can tell, the students can tell there's something a little bit different going on. And what's happening is intentional space is being made for a process to allow for meaningful conversation, and then weekly, and almost without even noticing, pretty soon the kids start looking at each other different, and they start looking at the world different. And they find out that they share fears and likes and dislikes and dreams and insecurities, and that they've got so much in common, but that they have so many differences, and they're both okay, and they can celebrate those commonalities and those differences. They can celebrate being who they are. That is connection. So courage, confidence, and connection. I think you're getting the theme, right? When you think about focusing on what is good and what is present, that will always trump, it will always outdo, it will always accomplish more than really focusing on what you don't have and what's absent. And actually, it's kind of disturbing that we spend about 80% of our energy actually focusing on what we don't have. We focus on our weaknesses, we focus on what we're not good at, we focus on that lack, right? And we only spend about 20% of our time focusing on those good and strong things about us. Now, I'm not suggesting that we don't work on the areas that we need to work on. We certainly do need to do that. But imagine if you could flip that energy, if you could flip those numbers to where you were spending 80% of your time just getting better at what you have going for you, using those strengths, right? That is actually one of the ways to increase just your well-being overall, is doing what you're good at, right? Being about life and where you're good at in life. So the Rock and Discover You is a strength-based organization. And you hear that term used a lot. But what we want to do, what we are doing, is empowering youth and our staff and our community to be able to use their strengths, to struggle well when they need to, because life's about struggle, right? It ebbs and flows. We have struggle. Struggle well when we need to, but thrive when we can. And interestingly enough, those are the same skills, right? Those take the same skills that we need when we're struggling well as when we're thriving. That makes a lot of the programs that we're doing be able to help students no matter where they're at. So sometimes people look at our programs and they'll say, well, those are for at-risk kids, right? Well, first of all, I will say I don't know any of us who aren't at risk in this world, especially our young people today, right? But even that being said, it's for all kids because we can all be better and we can all learn how to be better together. But thriving and positive change, it takes time and it takes investment. And we're kind of in a society and in a world right now where we want stuff to happen quickly, right? If our computer doesn't go in 20 seconds, 20 seconds, are you kidding? Like 3. Then we're moving on to the next thing. And, you know, for those of us that were lived before this time, it's hard for us. Imagine if that's been your whole life, right? But we realize that this stuff really just takes time. And it comes from a high quality after school program that's available every day, no matter what. And daily, courage, confidence, and connection are getting built just by showing up and doing life together, right? And using and through positive adult role models, positive peers, intentional activities, a caring community, right? A good meal. That's out of school time. And it's critical to the success of our young people. And then move that into our summer program, right? Summertime helps keep our kids connected. We've been dealing with a lot of disconnect lately. And we really need to help pull these back together. So you move that into summertime where our kids can stay engaged and be with other people and they can be involved and they continue to learn and they can continue to grow and that they can have opportunities that they would not have outside of that space that we're holding for them. And then let's talk about Discover You, that next intentional step. So Discover You is so impactful that it positively changes lives. in literally 1 hour, and it can happen in one exercise. Right? We just heard from Brandon and his ability, Sarah, going into the classrooms. It is that intentional, that experiential, that one opportunity can cause you to really look at things differently and significantly differently. And then you can build on those positive opportunities, right, and that momentum, and then you can create this continued process of growth that actually carries into adulthood. So most of the concepts that we share with our young people are concepts that as adults we would gain significantly from. So at your table, this may seem a little odd, but at your table, I will encourage one of you, and yeah, I'm serious, okay? Your centerpiece is a mirror. I'm going to ask one of you to pick that centerpiece up and take a look at it and look into the center of it. Okay? Yeah, you have to move the buns, right? But when you look into the center of that mirror, I like how everybody's like holding it up for somebody else. Y'all need to look in the center of that mirror. And what I'm hoping that you're seeing staring back at you as a reflection of yourself, right? As that brave, confident, courageous, connected person that you are, and that you're growing into. And Gordon found out it reflects light on the ceiling. But take a moment and reflect on that, if you would, please. How the importance of looking in and being able to see yourself as that image of who you can be and the courageous person that you are. So what we're doing, right, we together can witness the development of courage. We can provide opportunities to build confidence. Yep. And we can create space for connection. And together, we change lives.
Wow, what a night. The kids, the stories. Avery, you stole my heart. Natalie, thank you for taking such good care of our table. You are all fabulous examples of why the Rock is so important. All these kids here, look what they've done tonight. That took a lot of confidence and a lot of courage. I don't think I could have done it. So Bev talked about, think back when you were these kids' age, 12, 13, 16, whatever they are. Would you have had this kind of courage to stand up in front of this many people, all dressed up in your suits and all important, and do the kind of things they did? The Rock did that. The Rock created this opportunity for them. So we hope you walk away tonight knowing that the Rock changes lives. They step in at an incredibly vulnerable period in a teenager's life, a time when kids are more likely to rely on peers and social media to provide them with guidance. The Rock instead makes them feel valuable and capable on their own. The more confident a teenager feels, the more likely they'll make good decisions. Good decisions lead to success. And that doesn't just benefit the individual or the family. The whole community is positively affected when a teenager makes smart choices. The Rock is the only program here in our community focused on supporting our teenage population. If the Rock didn't exist, think about this, guys. If the Rock didn't exist, what would happen to the hundreds of middle schoolers who are too old for daycare, yet too young to be home alone? And what about the hundreds of high schoolers who learn tangible life skills and self-awareness? The Rock is a positive reinforcer in the lives of our young people before they then step off and become adults.
We're very fortunate to have this organization in our community. Over the last 20 years, the Rock has grown from a fledgling organization serving the youth at one school in Midland County to serving all the middle and high schools in Midland County, as well as Saginaw and Bay counties as well. They have expanded programming to include after school, summer school, and school suspension alternatives. The Rock programs focus on the STEM, social and emotional intelligence, life skills, community awareness, and safe and fun social events. The amazing growth and success of the Rock within our community has only been possible because people just like you went before you, saw the vision, and gave generously. However, there is so much more to do. The Rock has barely scratched the surface of what is needed and possible. So now, like those that went before you, it's your turn to keep this community asset growing. See those white envelopes in your programs? Guess what that's for? It's for your checks or cash. If you prefer to use a credit card or some other form of electronic payment, you can use the QR code that's on the cardboard tent on your table as well. And it takes you right to the Rock website where you can give online. Regardless of how you give, please give generously. Our future, it's been mentioned several times, our future rests in the hands of today's teenagers. Believe it or not, it's going to happen. Let's give them every opportunity to be a great success. So thank you all, and struggle well and be safe. Thank you.
Well, I always like to be the caboose because that means we're almost done. And if I do my job right, we'll be done before 8 o'clock, which was our cutoff time. My job is to say thanks. We have a lot of folks to say thanks to, beginning with the Valley Plaza kitchen and serving staff that provided a wonderful meal for us and kept all the drinks filled and all that other stuff. So it'd be nice if we could give the staff here, thank you. I know it's been said probably more than once, students and staff of the Rock for putting the program together. Finally, not finally, but next, all the schools that have allowed us to enter their buildings to provide our Discover You program and our after-school program. You just heard that we're in all three neighboring counties, Midland, Bay, and Saginaw. And this year, while this is our 22nd year with the Rock, I want to give a special shout out to our friends at Midland Public Schools, because it was 10 years ago this year that I'm going to call you out, Jeff. Jeff Jaster, principal at Northeast Middle School, approached me and asked, is there anything that we could do, because the middle school got out before the elementary school. And so we had students hanging around the building because they weren't allowed to come into the building after school's out. Was there anything the Rock could do? And that was the start of the after-school program. And it started, I don't know, Jeff, how many did you have in the pilot program? 20, 30 kids? Okay. Up until pre-pandemic, we were serving over 300 children or students a day. We haven't reached that yet, but we're probably about half of that because of the pandemic and whatever's going on. So that's the onset of the after-school program, and it wouldn't have been possible without the suggestion and the support of Midland Public Schools. So I think it'd be really nice to recognize Midland Public. And it also goes to point out, we finally got into Meridian Public Schools with our after-school program in January, but they were the first school that basically were the pilot program for what is now Discover You. We went in there with some summer school students, and then it has just grown to where we are today. So we want to especially thank Meridian Public Schools for that. So I'm stretching this out. So finally, I want to thank you more than once. And I was at lunch yesterday, and a gentleman that I deeply respect, he's a dear friend. I like to, if you know me, you know I like to rag you, and I'm an equal opportunity harasser. And so I was teasing him about being a table captain. And he apologized and says, I've got good news and bad news. I said, well, what's the bad news? And he says, I've only got one table. I said, so what's the good news? He says, they're all first-timers. So if you are a first-timer, would you please raise your hand if this is the first dinner that you've come to? Thank you very much, and we hope it has been meaningful for you. If you have been here more than once, but no more than 5 times, would you raise your hand? Thank you. If you have been here between 6 and 10 times, raise your hand. If you have been here 11 to 15 times, raise your hand. The numbers are going down. If you have been here 15 to 20 times, and Kevin, you can't raise your hand. No, actually you can, but so anyway. So I did this for a specific reason, and the Coxes mentioned it, is we can't do, and we haven't been able to do what we've done without your support. And so you can see, we hope that you first-timers we've had a positive impact on you, that you'll want to join us again in future years. For those who are returnees over and over again, we thank you for that. And with that, this evening is finished. And again, thank you all for attending, and we hope to see you at the 23rd annual dinner.